saw brother, you slap no more.
You may run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Tell me God Almighty's gonna cut you down. Tell me God Almighty's gonna cut you down. Go tell that long-tongued liar. Go tell that midnight rider. Tell the gabbing of the rabbit of the backbiter. Tell them God Almighty's gonna cut them down. Tell them God Almighty's gonna cut them down. Tell them God Almighty's gonna cut them down. Tell them God Almighty's gonna cut them down.
What have we done to this city? The sun is gone, all the life is missing. Just a crater filled with gold. In this fallout, we learn the most. What have we done? Is this all ours? All towns and houses stripped and scarred. We sure as hell let freedom ring. Our lust for power is sickening. No turning back, no saying sorry. We are all the ones to blame. And we'll get it, our so-called victory. We'll get it all on our judgment day. What have we done to this city? The sun is gone, all the life is missing. Just a crater filled with ghosts. In this fallout, we learn the most. Medals of honor, no shiny trophy. All that's left is to bask in our glory. It's kind of funny how we tried playing God when reality stepped in and pitted us against the odds. No turning back, no saying sorry. We are all the ones to blame. And we'll get it, our so-called victory. We'll get it all on our judgment day. What have we done to this city? The sun is gone, all the life is missing. Just a crater filled with ghosts. In this fallout, we learn the most. What have we done to this city? The sun is gone, all the life is missing. Just a crater filled with ghosts. In this fallout. graves with all our mistakes. We are all the ones to blame. Now I'm alone, alone, alone. What have we done to this city with
watching all the streetlights fade, and now you're just a stranger's dream. I took a picture from the frame, and though you're nothing like you seem, your shadow fell like last night's rain.
You die!
As you well know,
We're on take 4.
Not your kind.
Yeah, I'm out at Brooklyn. Now I'm down in Tribeca, right next to De Niro. But I'll be hood forever. I'm the new Sinatra. And since I made it here, I can make it anywhere. Yeah, they love me everywhere. I used to cop in Harlem. All of my Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. Brought me back to that McDonald's. Took it to my stash spot, 560 State Street. Catch me in the kitchen like a Simmons whipping pastry. Cruising down A Street, off-white Lexus. Driving so slow, but BK is from Texas. Me, I'm out that Bed-Stuy, home of that boy Biggie. Now I live on Billboard, and I brought my boys with me. Say what up to Tata, still sipping my ties. Sitting courtside, Knicks and Nets give me high five. Nigga, I be spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from. Hey.
Concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're New York. These streets will make you feel brand new. Big lights will inspire you.
Come on.
Let's hear it for
You welcome, OG.
New York.
I made you hot, nigga. Catch me at the X with OG at a Yankee game. Shit, I made the Yankee hat more famous than a Yankee can. You should know I bleed blue, but I ain't a crypto. But I got a gang of niggas walking with my click though. Welcome to the melting pot. Corners where we selling rock. Africa been by the shit. Home of the hip hop. Yellow cap, gypsy cap, dollar cap, holla back. For foreigners, it ain't fair. They act like they forgot how to act. 8 million stories out there in the naked city. It's a pity half of y'all won't make it. Me, I got a plug special ed, I got it made. If Jesus paying LeBron, I'm paying Dwayne Wade. 3 dice CeeLo, 3 card Marley. Labor Day parade, rest in peace Bob Marley. Statue of Liberty, long live the World Trade, long live the King, yo. I'm from the Empire State. That's
Concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you
That boy good.
can't do. Now you're New York.
Welcome
These
to the bright
streets
light,
will
baby.
make you feel brand new. Big lights will inspire you. Let's hear it for New York.
Lights is blinding, girls need blinders so they could step out of bounds quick. The sidelines is lined with casualties who sip the life casually, then gradually become worse. Don't bite the apple, Eve. Caught up in the in crowd, now you're in style. And in the winter gets cold, in vogue with your skin out. City of sin, it's a pity on a whim. Good girls going bad, the city's filled with them. Mommy took a bus trip, now she got a bust out. Everybody ride her, just like a bus route. Hail Mary to the city, you're a virgin. And Jesus can't save you, life starts when the church in. Came here for school, graduated to the highlight. Ball players, rap stars, addicted to the limelight. Empty and May got you feeling like a champion. The city never sleeps, better slip you an ambient.
Concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're New York. These streets will make you feel brand new. Big lights will inspire you. Let's hear it for New York. One hand in the air for the big city.
more. Oh, here we go. Another idiot. Goodbye. Another. You're a liar. Goodbye. Actually, Popsicola took care of it before I even got to take care of it. Okay? You may notice that every once in a while, I'll do something incredibly stupid and out of character. And you say, why the hell did Phil do that? Things were going good, and, why would Phil do something really stupid like that? And by the way, as I'm talking about this, I'm actually crushing the fuck out of this stress ball, because it's the first time I've ever actually publicly talked about this. I'll do something dumb and out of character for no reason. And, to the logical person looking in from the outside who's a fan, why did Phil fucking do that, right? Why did Phil insult this person? Why did Phil do this? Why did Phil do that? And there's a lot to do, stress and emotion. But there's this self-destructive tendency for people who actually have depression. And I'll give you a perfect example, and you can choose to believe me or not. This is not an excuse, and I own what I did. But about a month ago, I made an incredibly stupid fucking tweet publicly on Twitter. The tweet said that anyone who was playing State of Decay 2 early was a shill and getting paid to do so, and I would be playing the game later in the week, and I'm not getting paid, so my opinions will be valid. All right? I know that's a false statement in my head. I know that's a false statement. 100% I know that tweet is factually incorrect. All right? The actual thought that I wanted to relay was that when people play games early, they're making extra money because they're the only people able to play the games. Therefore, they're basically making a paycheck for playing a game early. It's an elitist practice. I don't agree with it. I've always said early release copies are horseshit. You shouldn't have an elitist group of streamers and reviewers who get these games early, that everyone should have to buy the game on release date, and that way we can all get legitimate opinions of the game on release date. And also, consumers should have self-control. They shouldn't be running out actively to buy every game on release date just to be part of the hype of the release. They should wait a day or two for other people to buy the game, give their honest reviews about it, then decide if they want to buy the game or not. That's my actual full informed opinion about pre-release games. Now, you can agree or disagree, and that's perfectly fine. But what I just said is far less inflammatory than everyone playing a pre-release copy of State of Decay 2 is a fucking, a shill. And, I'm the only person who basically isn't doing it, so watch my stream on Friday, okay? And I know that. I know that putting that out on Twitter is going to cause trouble. I know that, logically, in this head. I know. That's stupid, But I did it anyway. And it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake that I put that on fucking Twitter. No, sir, it wasn't. That was my depression pulling me out of a positive moment of my life. At that very moment, all right, when that happened, okay, I was on time off. I wasn't streaming. And I was actually spending time with Kat. And we were actually doing fun stuff. But, what happened was things weren't going as planned. Like, we had plans of things that we wanted to do during those 3 days that I had off from streaming. And sadly, they didn't all work out. And it's personal reasons. I'm not going to explain what it was. But there was basically some negative stuff going on. That, like, here's something that's we've been planning for, like, a month. Really looking forward to. Hoping for an amazing time together. And then, fuck me, something goes wrong. And now it's not as amazing as we wanted it to be. In fact, it was way less amazing than we actually wanted it to be. So here I am, waking up one morning while we're on our time off, feeling miserable because we're not having as good of a time as we really should have. And I'm having these terrible feelings again of maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe I don't deserve the time off. Maybe I don't deserve, you know what I mean? Maybe I don't deserve any success. Maybe I don't deserve the time off. Maybe I just deserve to be a slave for the rest of my life, to always be behind on finances and back taxes, and to have a horrible existence for the rest of my life. Maybe I just deserve it. And I'm feeling this depression in my head. And then someone tells me, Gee, Phil, are you aware? I know that your big comeback from your time off is you're going to play State of Decay 2. Are you aware that there's like 4 people already playing it on Twitch, and one of them has 18,000 viewers and already made like $4,000 in 10 minutes from cheer subs and tips? And I hear that. And here it is. Boom. Self-destruction. Let's do it. Go right to Twitter and make that tweet that I know is wrong. It's not how I feel. Let's do it. And that's exactly the kind of stuff that happens to me. And it's not just me. This kind of shit happens to a lot of people who have depression, where you're in a moment of weakness and your depression takes over. It actually takes over. It makes you do shit that's out of character and normally you wouldn't want to do. And you know there's nothing good that's going to come of it, yet you do it anyway. And then you look at it afterward and you go, what the fuck did I do that for? Oh, fuck. Here we go again, right? And this has happened to me many times in my life. I remember there was one time, all right, when something really bad happened to me. And I had a friend who was being very nice to me and had previously been real close to me or whatever. And I actually shut that friend off completely and never spoke to them again. And it had nothing, that friend did nothing wrong at all whatsoever, but self-destruction. My body, my depression told me, you don't deserve to have that friend anymore. And I stopped talking. No, this isn't anyone you guys know. Oh, it's John Rambo. No, nothing like that. But this was someone who for months was a really good friend to me. You know, may have even blossomed into something else. And I shut them completely off and I deleted their fucking name and number from my phone. And I never spoke to them ever again. By the way, this was back before even, this was a really long time ago. So it wasn't like, oh, I would have texted him or whatever. I blocked them on Instant Messenger because that was how all the kids talked back then. Or blocked her on Instant Messenger. And that was it. Never spoke to them again. And that was purposely because I wanted to hurt myself. You know? And the problem is, with people who have extreme depression, that's when you get to the point, it's not just mental, it becomes physical. And that's when you get people who do physical things to themselves, physical harm and stuff, okay? And you know, sometimes it gets to the point where it hounds you and it actually haunts you so badly you just can't put up with it anymore. No, it's like, no matter what I do, no matter how much I fight and I strive, you know what I mean? I'm always gonna feel awful in the back of my head. I could end up being the most successful person on planet Earth and my brain will never allow me to feel good about myself. And I think that honestly is a lot of the people who end up going to that extreme. That's what it is. They see no way out. It's the endless trap of no matter how much I succeed, no matter how well I do, I will always feel like shit. And that's their way out, is the ultimate step of hurting themselves, you know, losing their own lives. And that's terrible, you know. And I'll be real with you guys. There was one point in my life where I felt like that. And it was a long time ago. And it was a point in my life when I was single. I was before YouTube, by the way. And I was single. And I didn't like what I did for a living for my job. I was in a ton of financial debt, like I am now. Only back then, it wasn't like I made a lot of money, so I didn't even see a way out of it. Okay? My parents, at that point in my life, weren't really involved with the stuff that I was doing. And honestly, I felt they didn't really care about me, because they weren't involved or interested in me or my welfare, or what I was doing with my life. And really, I didn't have anywhere to fall back on. There was a lot of negativity in my life at that time for personal reasons. And so I was at a point in my life where I didn't want to go on. I was like, I could care less if I live or die today or tomorrow or whatever. If tomorrow I were to walk into the middle of the street and a car splattered me all over the fucking place, I wouldn't give a shit. You know? And it's awful. Because the truth of the matter is, when you have those feelings, all right, and this is logically how I basically kind of convinced myself out of that mindset, is even though you may feel awful about yourself, and even though you may not want to go on, there are other people out there who know you, who depend on you, who love you, and those are the people who really you need to surround yourself with in times when you feel that badly. You know, just imagine, you know, being gone for good, and what a hole that leaves for people who love you, and people who, you know, what did those people do ever, all right, to you to deserve to have you ripped out of their lives? Now, I know that sounds incredibly selfish because you're the one hurting, right? Right? But it's true that how selfish is it for you to take your own life, right? And then leave this gaping hole where you used to be, especially, again, if you're someone who people love you and depend on you, or just, you know, your parents in particular, although I know a lot of people don't have good relationships with their parents, or friends or loved ones, right? You know, and you're absolutely right. It's not about the other people. Someone just said that. It's not about the other people. It's not. But that's, at least for me, that was one of the ways that I helped to get myself out of the hole I was in, was that maybe, you know, it's not just about me. That's the thing. It's not just about you. It's not just about them. It's about everything working together, you know? And so That's the other thing too. People will blame people. So I heard that someone was depressed and committed suicide. What an awful person to do such a selfish thing. Oh my God! Like, why on this planet do we have to always play the blame game? This is actually something unrelated, but why do we have to do this? When something goes wrong, there's always got to be a finger to point and someone who has to be responsible afterward. Maybe things are just fucked up sometimes. You ever think of that? Maybe things, though this isn't a land of lollipops and fucking rainbows. You know what I mean? And this is a serious world where things get messed up. And sometimes you just have to deal with the repercussions and say, how do we get past the blame game? And say, can we just fucking get past that and find a way to make the problem fixed? Instead of, we have to find the perpetrator or the person behind. It's not your fault if you feel depression. And it's certainly not your family member's fault or your loved one's fault if you feel depression, right? It's no one's fault. Fuck that. Instead, let's try to make people feel better so that they don't get to that fucking extreme. And you know what? Again, if it does happen and you see someone who's really negatively affected, it's not your fault. You could be the best friend, the best, significant other, the best, relative to someone, and they could still feel awful about themselves, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you kind of, at one point, just have to say there's no one's fault. All you can do is be there for them and try to help them as much as you possibly can. And try to be as good of a friend, relative, significant other, whatever you can be. And not let it get to you if you can't reach out and break through and help that person. Because, these mental disorders are fucked up. And, some people say, I'll just go on pills. That's not the solution either. Pills help. Don't get me wrong. Pills absolutely help. But they don't cure these kind of issues. They just help to mitigate. And help to keep it under wraps. Like I said, like sometimes it's the guy in the shoulder, like I mentioned. So maybe that guy in the shoulder goes away for a couple days. But he's going to come back, but at least he's gone for a couple days, right? So that's what I mean. So, it's a very complex issue. It is. The best takeaways I can give you when it comes to this is, number one, don't play the blame game. It's the worst thing you could possibly do. Number two, if you know someone affected by an issue like depression, don't ever tell them it's their fault. Don't try to tell them it's something else. That's fucked up, the most fucked up thing you could possibly do, and only immature, really fucked up people would do that. And you should be lucky in your life that you don't feel that, to know what it's really like, that you can now be on the an outsider, saying to them, haha, it's not what you say, it's just because you're weak or whatever, or, you're misdiagnosing. You should be happy that you don't have to be in that situation, because you know how horrible you're making that person feel, all right? Number three, if you are an outsider to the situation, you're trying to help someone, you can do whatever you can, but understand you may not be able, because it's not something that can definitively be fixed, at least from my experience. It's always going to be there, and, it's tough. It really is tough, because, self-destructiveness really sucks. And it could hurt yourself, you could hurt others, and I know personally, because I've hurt myself and I have hurt others, definitively, by my actions. And again, I take responsibility. It was me that does the fucked up stuff. So I'm the one responsible, but it's fueled by this destructive nature in the back of my head telling me to fuck everything up for myself, It sucks. It absolutely sucks. And there's no solution. This isn't a discussion that I can say, guess what, guys? I got the miracle cure, and here it is, and now everything's hunky-dory. There's not. I've toughed through it my whole life. And I'll be real with you guys. The shit that I've been through over the years, when I got people who say such nasty shit about me constantly, it's all false, even though it might be based on a snippet of truth. When you got people out there who think that you're a pedophile, you're a thief, a scam artist, a constant, disgusting beggar, and all this shit, on top of the fact that I had this before that,
stranger in the black sedan. I want you hop inside my car. I got pictures, got candy, I'm a lovable man, and I can take you to the nearest star. I'm your vehicle, baby. I'll take you anywhere you wanna go. I'm your vehicle, woman. By now I'm sure you know you got to have your child. Great God in heaven, you know I love you. Well, if you wants to be a movie star, I can take you to a Hollywood. But if you wanna stay just like you are, you know I think you really should. I'm your vehicle, baby. I'll take you anywhere you wanna go. I'm your vehicle, woman. By now I'm sure you know that I love you, I need you, I want you, got to have your child. Great God in heaven, you know I love you. Oh, you know I do. Well, I'm the friendless stranger in the black sedan. Won't you hop inside my car? I got pictures, candy, I'm a lovable man, and I can take you to the nearest star. I'm your vehicle, babe. I'll take you anywhere you wanna go. I'm your vehicle, woman. By now I'm sure you know that I love you, I need you, I want you, I got to have you. Great God in heaven, you know I love you. And I'm your vehicle, babe. Alright. You know I love you, I need you, I want you, got to have your child. Great God in heaven, you